the truth about blood sugars. Now, some of you are going to find this really quite surprising. Okay, I think this is going to be an important live for a lot of you ladies to listen to. All right, now before we do get started, if you are watching me live right now, comment live down below. If you're watching me in the future on the replay, like most of you will be, comment replay down below. Okay, so there's a few different ways that I really want to kind of attack this topic. Okay, first of all, I want you to realize that blood sugars are incredibly volatile. You are not always going to be in control of your blood sugars, and you need to learn to be at peace with that. Okay, of course, there's a bunch of things that we can do in order to reduce blood sugars over time and obviously lower your A1C and achieve remission. But on a day-to-day basis, you are not always going to be in control of your blood sugars. And that's because there are so many things that impact your blood sugars. Some of them are within your control, some of them are not. And some of these things you are not always going to be able to have a grasp upon. Okay, we're human. We can't always be perfect, right? We're never looking for perfection. We're looking to be better, right? But where do we start? So first of all, like I said, there are so many things that impact your blood sugars that actually have nothing to do with food that you put in your mouth. Okay, there are tons of things that impact your blood sugars that has absolutely nothing to do with food that you put in your mouth. Okay, ladies get confused all the time. Like, Chris, I did so well yesterday, but my blood sugars are high. I've been doing so well this week, but my blood sugars are higher. And that's because, again, there's so many different things. First of all, we've got stress, not just psychological stress. That's a big one, definitely, but also physical stress. Okay, infections, being unwell, colds, anything like that. Any kind of stress, whether it be psychological or physical stress, can and will have some impact on blood sugars. Okay, like I said at the start, blood sugars are incredibly volatile and you're not always going to be in control of that. Okay, so we've got stress, we've got other things like the dawn phenomenon. Okay, so some of you are going to be familiar with that, some of you aren't. The dawn phenomenon usually occurs about anywhere between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. And it's where your pancreas releases a bunch of stored glycogen into your bloodstream as blood glucose, which causes a spike in blood sugars that your body cannot keep up with because of insulin resistance. So you wake up, prick your finger, test your blood sugar, scan your CGM, and your blood sugars are abnormally high, right? So stress, again, physical or psychological. We've got the dawn phenomenon. You've got the Samoji effect, which is the same as the dawn phenomenon, but the difference is the Samoji effect has a trigger, and that trigger is hypoglycemia, okay? Low blood sugars. Same process happens, pancreas releases glycogen, etc., but it happens as a response to having low blood sugars. So you wake up, you test your blood sugars, and it's normally an overcompensation, which is why you wake up, test your blood sugars, scan your CGM, and your blood sugars are abnormally high for no real reason, right? We've also got things like sleep. Okay, sleep does have an impact on your blood sugars. We've got things like hydration. Hydration does have an impact on your blood sugars, and there are so many other things, but I'm not going to sit here and talk you through the other 30 things that impact your blood sugars, because that's only gonna overwhelm you, confuse you more, and create this big list of things to worry about. That's not the case. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm sat here talking to you about this topic because I want you to have some peace with the fact that you are not always in control with it. You are not always going to be the one that is able to control your blood sugars at all times. It really is that simple. They're volatile. All you can control is what you can. And again, we're going to talk about the three things at the end the three boxes, very simple, easy boxes that we want to tick on a regular basis in order to lower blood sugars long term and lower your A1C, right? But another thing that I wanted to touch on today, as well as blood sugars being so volatile, is that, and for you to kind of be at peace with the fact that that's okay, and you're not always going to be in control. But also, people freak out when they eat carbs and the blood sugars increase and the blood sugars spike. That's what happens. Okay, if I am not insulin resistant, okay, I'm not insulin resistant, but if I go downstairs and eat a packet of potato chips, if I go downstairs and eat sweets, if I go downstairs and eat pizza, pasta, rice, bread, anything, unless it's a very low glycemic index carbohydrate, my blood sugar is going to spike. If I go downstairs and eat a bowl of Cheerios, my blood sugar is going to spike. Does that mean there's something wrong with me? No, that's what happens when you eat carbohydrates. Okay, the difference is with myself and someone who might be insulin resistant is how high the spike is and for how long it stays elevated. Okay, but as well as trying to accept the fact that you're not always going to be in control and blood sugars are volatile, or want you to accept the fact that when you eat carbohydrates, unless they're very low glycemic index carbohydrates, they are going to cause an increase in blood sugars. And that's okay. That's how the body works. It's unavoidable. Obviously, if we've got an A1C that's, incredibly high and out of control, then obviously we don't want to be feeding ourselves with lots of very high glycemic index foods, which are going to lead to high blood sugars that are elevated for a long period of time. But that's still the case, still stands. Eating carbs leads to a spike in blood sugar. Don't freak out. That's fine. That's normal. It's what's meant to happen. Okay, it's what's meant to happen. So when you wake up tomorrow and your blood sugars are abnormally high, don't freak out. That's fine. Okay. When you eat carbohydrates and your blood sugars spike, don't freak out. That's fine. The three things that we want to make sure we're doing on a regular basis in order to over time reduce blood sugars and therefore A1C, weight loss, okay, fat loss, aka a calorie deficit. It doesn't matter whether you follow keto, paleo, Weight Watchers, doesn't matter. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not going to lose weight. If you're not consuming fewer calories than what your body expends, you're not going to lose weight. Period. End of. And weight loss, fat loss is important because insulin resistance is a symptom of excess adipose tissue, excess body fat. If you want to lower your insulin resistance and achieve remission and get off meds, then there has to be considerable amount of fat loss. Without fat loss, yes, you can lower your blood sugars, of course, but you're never going to entirely remove the insulin resistance and be able to achieve remission. So we must be achieving fat loss. You don't have to count calories, but calories still count. Okay, you can do that however, whatever method you wish. Okay, so first of all, fat loss, aka calorie deficit. Next of all, whatever. Next, we want to have or adhere to, a carb controlled diet. Doesn't mean keto, absolutely not. Doesn't mean eating 20 grams of carbs a day, absolutely not. Just managing the amount of carbohydrates we do consume. Okay, that might be 120 grams a day, whatever. Well, it's different for everyone depending on where you're at and your A1C and your level of insulin resistance, but somewhere around 100 grams of carbohydrates a day is pretty darn good. Okay. If you want to regain control of your blood sugars today, then you need to regain control of your carbohydrate intake today. So we've got biocalorie deficit. Okay. We've got a carb controlled diet, managing the amount of carbohydrates you consume and some form of movement. I don't care whether it's a 5-minute walk or 10K steps, but don't go straight to 10K steps unless you're not already getting 8 or 9, because you're not going to do it. Not sustainably long term anyway. If you're not doing any intentional movement, then set a goal of a 5-minute walk. Establish it over time and then build upon it. Okay? Those are the three major pillars that we want to adhere to if we want to achieve not only weight loss, but a lower A1C and remission. Calorie deficit, manage the amount of carbs you consume, and some sort of daily movement. Right? When I say manage the carbs you consume, I don't mean eliminating all of your favorite foods, because that's miserable. You're not going to stick to it. All right? Okay, ladies. I hope you found this helpful. If you are watching me live, I know there's a few of you, comment live down below. If you're watching me on the replay, like I said, most of you will be. Comment replay. And if you found this helpful, comment helpful down below too. All right, ladies. Have a fantastic day. And I'll speak to you soon. Good morning, Yvette. Goodbye.